What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here. If you've been a part of my channel for a while now, you'll probably remember my Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife series, where I went over in multiple episodes essentially every aspect that I find incredibly important when I'm looking for what I call Excalibur, or the perfect folding knife for me. Every one of us has our own idea of Excalibur. Sometimes it's one knife and sometimes it's multiple knives, but we all have our preferences, is what I'm saying. Some of those preferences come down to only utilitarian things. Some of them come down to only aesthetic features. Oftentimes it's a combination of many things. When I was exploring that series, which was a lot of fun, by the way, I immediately ruled out budget knives because I knew that what I was looking for was beyond simply a utilitarian design. While that was important, there were a lot of other aesthetic and just sort of X-factor features that I was interested in and that I needed to create in my mind what Excalibur was. And so inevitably I thought I'm going to have to spend more money than what I would consider, the cost of a budget knife. So I kind of ruled them out. A lot of you remember that I didn't really find Excalibur, but I found what I consider to be as close as possible, which is very specifically this fully tumbled, full titanium Hinderer XM18 Gen 6 3.5 inch spear point in 20 CV non-flipper. Oh my God, that is a mouthful. But that's about as close as I came to finding Excalibur. And to this day, I have not found a knife that I consider to be more perfect than that. Now, here's the thing. I loved finding that. I loved kind of digging in and talking about exactly what it was that made this knife so perfect for me. Now, truthfully, Excalibur's still open for acquisition. I mean, I'll tell you what, if Spyderco ever, makes a full titanium Shaman with textured, contoured scales, and they make a tumbled M390 blade, but to me, that might be Excalibur. I don't know. I think that's outside of the realm of reality. But that's what I'm as close as I can possibly get. Now, just as much as I love discovering what it was that I looked for in an ideal folding knife and considering it in a realm where price is not an option, for a completely different reason, I enjoy unearthing what I consider to be really, really good budget knives. Some examples that have stuck around on my channel for a long time are, of course, the Ontario Rat 1 or Rat 2 and D2, even though I don't have a Rat 2. The Cold Steel Tough Light and the Victorinox Cadet. All knives that I would consider to be budget knives and excellent within their parameters. By the way, if you guys are wondering what constitutes a budget knife to you, Metal Complex, truthfully, it's under $100. I know a lot of people define it as under 20, under 50, under 75. Some people might consider it anything under 500 bucks. To me, a budget knife is under $100. That's $99 or less. The reason is because my brain has associated that cost in a folding knife as something that probably wouldn't feel too great to break or lose, but something that I could turn around and spend the same amount of money on and be like, okay, I can get it back. I don't feel too bad about losing it, therefore I'm not hesitant to use it for anything. All of these knives fit there, and I've had owned knives in the past that were $99 or less that I have had no reservations against using. Now, here's the crazy thing, and the unsurprising thing actually. It's not crazy, it's more unsurprising than it is crazy. I've found that, my favorite budget folding knife of all time, which I actually don't even own. I've given away more of them than I have. I actually don't own it. I've given away multiple, but don't own it. That's the Bestech Lion in D2 steel. That's about a $40 knife. It's incredible. If you have not experienced it, I urge you to go check it out. But the number two, the one that stuck around forever, just because I've had it for, it's sentimental value, I guess, the Rat 1 and D2 steel. Fantastic. Both of them are fantastic knives, but I find myself wanting more from both of those knives substantially, to the point where it's like there's actually a lot more to be desired. Now, at the same time, I would say we're seeing a massive evolution in this direct part of the knife world. Budget knives. All these companies, Bestex, Vivi, Artisan Cutlery, Real Steel, on and on and on. These designs, budget designs, are becoming more and more and more refined, and materials that used to cost more and more and more money are costing less and less and less money. Whereas getting a flipper on bearings and D2 steel might have cost you as much as 75, 80, 90, $100 4 or 5 years ago, it can be had for about $40 now, and even steels like 154 CM, which is, in my opinion, the very best ingot steel out there, can be had in knives for around $75. I believe Kaiser's using it in their Vanguard line. With this evolution of the budget knife world, that is kind of a whole separate crazy party from what I how I developed my interest in folding knives in the higher end, or what I would consider to be the higher end production world, and paid no mind to the budget world, because when I was interested in all this, when I started to be 10 years ago, the budget world was basically crap. It wasn't interesting, Eventually the Rat 1 came out, and it reigned supreme for an extremely long amount of time. In fact, a lot of people argue it's still the very, very best budget folding knife out there, but there's a lot of competition. Bestech in particular has released multiple models that I find extremely compelling. Now, this particular model is the Bison, and it doesn't meet the parameters because it's a titanium frame lock, and it's a little more. We'll get into that. We're going to review it next week, but very compelling. A better example might be, just because I've got it on me, the Real Steel Control. It's a steel frame lock, making it less expensive, but the same level of refinement in terms of fit and finish as the Bestech Bison. An amazing well-ground D2 steel blade. It's running on bearings, and this knife can be found for between $35 and $45. That's awesome. A knife like that, a perfectly designed, we're so close here. There's a lot of things that they're doing correct, and just with a few simple tweaks, ideally there's a $50 knife out there. It's between $0 and $100. Call it a $50 knife out there that is potentially perfect, or if it doesn't exist, it will very soon. And what I'd like to do is create a new series called The Quest for the Perfect Budget Knife, where I talk about everything that I looked for in a budget knife and how it differs from what I look for in my ideal folding knife all the way around. In a budget knife, I'm looking for different things because I'm not going to have nearly as many. Actually, I'm not going to have any. Ideally, I would have no reservations against using it for anything. So what I'm looking for is different. And actually, I think in theory there should actually be more categories. If you remember my Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife series, there were only 7 episodes because I was able to condense things down because I didn't have to worry so much about absolutely beating the crap out of it because my mind wasn't there, honestly. In my subconscious, I think I always knew it was going to be a Hinderer XM18. And the irony is that I'm a little bit more careful with knives that cost as much as an XM18 costs. So, functionality and utility was absolutely a part of that series, and to somebody who has no reservations against using their knives, an XM18 will serve them plenty well. But I venture to guess the vast majority of us are more, interested in the budget knife world than anything else. Yeah, the world of custom folding knives is amazing, but I can't afford stuff like this. The only reason you see stuff like this on my channel is because I have viewers who are willing to send me stuff, so that's great. The weird thing is that people are so willing to send me their expensive knives. Slice It Dice, who told me this the other day, that I'm becoming a channel that people go to look at custom knives. That's weird. I didn't think that would ever happen. And frankly, it's outside of my range of expertise, or at least my comfortable range of expertise. I have to do a lot more studying when I review a knife like this. It's a lot of work. On top of that, it costs a lot of money to ensure that the knife gets safely back to the person that lent it to me, and it's kind of nerve-wracking having stuff like that in my possession. So doing a series on the quest for the perfect budget knife would alleviate a lot of those worries and costs, and at the same time it would give me a reason to get my hands on more of the knives that I feel like my audience wants to see anyway. Ideally, my channel would be 40% budget knives, 40% high-end production knives or mid-tech knives, and maybe about 20% custom knives. That way everybody's getting a little bit of what they want and maybe getting a chance to look at some things that are outside of what they consider. I think a lot of us have our beater knives We've got our really nice pocket jewelry knives that we might use every now and then, but we're a little bit reserved on stuff like this. And then we all have knives like Safe Queens, or at least a lot of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be associated with any particular cost parameter, but we all have knives that we place in those categories. I feel like this would be a lot of fun, and I'd like to dedicate it to Saturdays. Right now, my Sunday series is the Knife Guy. I have no interest in canceling that. You guys seem to like that. I want to keep it going. I want that to be a thing. I want people to know, hey, the Knife Guy series is Metal Complex's series. Head over to his channel to watch that. And I also want to do another Quest series. So I want the Quest for the Ultimate Budget Knife, or the Quest for the Perfect Budget Knife, to essentially be a Saturday series, and then the Knife Guy to be on Sundays. And then you might get a bonus discussion on Saturday, or a bonus top 10, or a bonus giveaway, and maybe we do that on vice versa, maybe on Sunday, whatever. But this gives me something to always, systematically do on Saturdays and systematically do on Sundays. And then when we get to the week, we go back to our regular unboxings and reviews. I like the system that I've come up with for this channel. I like the flow of things. I'm happy with the way things are working, but I got a really positive response from my Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife series, and I want to do that again, but I want you guys to know I am interested in budget knives. It seems like I have a lot of stuff that a really snobby person would like, but I love budget knives. I would love to have an ultimate beater, and I don't have enough of them to come up with that conclusion yet, and I want to handle more. This would give me a good reason to do that. Let me know in the comment section what you think, if you'd be excited about that. If you are excited about that, of course, let me know, but also leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a great day.